today. My name is Calvin Lin, and today I'll be talking about college stress and personal initiative, especially from the perspective of a student who's been through it and is still learning. This presentation is meant to be very real and honest. I'm not here to scare you, and I'm definitely not here to pretend everything is perfect. College prep, applications, extracurriculars, and social pressure can feel overwhelming, and that's exactly why we're talking about it today. By the end of this session, I want you to leave feeling less alone, more confident, and more in control of your own path. Now let's get started. Here's a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. First, I'll introduce myself and share my background just so you know where I'm coming from. Then we'll talk about college application stress, what causes it, why it feels so intense, and how to manage it in a healthier way. After that, we'll move into cold emailing and personal projects, which honestly changed my entire mindset about opportunities. And finally, we'll wrap up with a Q&A where you can ask anything: college, stress, extracurriculars, literally anything you can think of that I may be able to help you with. Feel free to write questions down as we go. So a little about me. I'm currently a 10th grader at the STEM Early College at NCA&T, and I do a lot. Some things I do include being the executive assistant of Dr. Interested, which is a global nonprofit based in Ontario, Canada. I'm also the healthcare career and occupations director for HEAL, which is another organization that focuses on educating students about different healthcare fields. I also created my own web app, MedPrep, which is designed to help students stay organized and to find resources that'll help them be more educated regarding healthcare. I'm also a part of many clubs at my school, including Mock Trial, HOSA, where I do medical math, and last year I made ILC 4, and I also do Science Olympiad for chemistry lab and disease detectives. I also play the violin in my city's Youth Philharmonic Orchestra, where I recently became second chair first violin, so that's really good. And through cold emailing, I've secured a spot working in a lab this summer under Professor Fu. Now, I want to be very clear about something. I did not start all of this at once. A lot of people see a list like this and think, wow, they've always been productive, or they must never be stressed. But that's just not true. I felt burnout, I felt imposter syndrome, I've compared myself to others and felt behind. The difference is that I slowly learned how to take initiative instead of waiting for permission. This doesn't mean I don't take breaks too. Just yesterday, my city received a lot of snow, so I decided to go outside and have fun for a day. We are still kids after all and deserve to have fun and relax. That's a theme you'll hear a lot today. Now, I'll bet many of us feel demotivated whenever college is mentioned, and that's relatable. But the important thing is to remember we are still children. While stress is good, oftentimes the stress of college is just too intense. To combat this, we must identify some common sources that push this rhetoric of stressing about colleges. One of the biggest contributors to college stress today is social media. You scroll through Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok, and suddenly everyone got into a top school, has published research, has a nonprofit, has a perfect GPA. However, what you don't see are the rejections, late nights, anxiety, or the help they received in order to get all their successes. That's why I strongly recommend taking health breaks away from social media, especially during application seasons for anything. Muting accounts, logging off for a few days, or even deleting apps temporarily can make a massive difference. Your worth is not measured by someone else's highlight reel, but rather how you feel about your own self. Now, moving on to rumors. There are so many rumors in the college process and just academic programs in general. When you hear anything that doesn't sound right, make sure to fact check it. Especially in today's world, so many false narratives are spread around, and it's important to make sure it's true before you act on it. Returning on to previous points, we often compare ourselves to others. This is not inherently negative. It's natural human behavior designed to motivate us to improve. However, there's a point where the pressure of improving is just too much. However, there is some good news. I'm sure most of you have heard of the term holistic when it comes to applications. That just means they look at your background, your opportunities, your growth, and your story. Comparing yourself to others is one of the fastest ways to lose confidence. Everyone has a different starting point, and everyone's path looks different. During college applications, you don't need to compare yourselves with others, as you are your own unique self. So rather than comparing during applications, focus on making your personality shine through them. Now let's talk about the biggest stressor of students today, research. Is research required for college? No. Is it impressive? Yes. And is it impossible? Absolutely not. Research is just one way of showing curiosity and initiative. If you don't have access to a lab, that does not mean you're behind. Colleges care about impact, growth, and authenticity, not checking boxes. If you're interested in research, that's where things like cold emailing come in, which is the next thing we're going to talk about. Cold emailing sounds scary, but it's honestly one of the most powerful tools you can use. There's no perfect formula. What matters is doing your research on who you're asking, being respectful when emailing, and being authentic. Professors and professionals can tell immediately if you copied and pasted an email. A genuine message that explains why you're interested goes a long way. And yes, you will get ignored sometimes. That's a normal. Getting 1 yes out of 10 emails is still a win, so never give up. Personal projects are where you really stand out. This could be an app, an Instagram page, a community initiative, a club, a website, but the main thing is don't do it for a checklist. Only make one when you have an initiative you're actually interested about. If you are sure you want to start one, the key things are to take initiative, be confident, and to learn teamwork. Remember, not everything is about doing it solo. Sometimes having help can help make the project more impactful. The key idea for projects is you don't need permission to start something meaningful. Now on to Q&A. There's no bad questions. If you're thinking it, someone else probably is too. So, does anyone have any questions? Well, there's, in the modern day, there's a lot of content creators who use the rhetoric of college and, the fear that high school students have of it now to promote things that just benefit themselves. If you go online, there's going to be a lot of people who push, oh yeah, college app counseling, and just a bunch of, their whole content is just based on using high schoolers' fear of, college to promote things that benefit themselves. And that's one of the biggest issues right now, and that's honestly why I don't recommend following. There's going to be some good college, admissions content creators that work on giving actual advice, but there's a lot who just use it to push their own rhetoric to gain profit. And yeah. What's your personal favorite stress reliever? Honestly, it's probably calling with my friends and playing Roblox. It's and just sometimes I just like laying in bed and listening to music too. It's based on your own preference, and as an extroverted person, I just really like calling my friends and just talking whenever college is stressful. And this is another thing. Having a very good friend group that you can rely on is super helpful and can definitely help improve your own mental health when it comes to college applications, because they're your support system. Even when you're not in a state where you're always confident about everything, just having friends there can help make it more bearable. How can your teachers help in the application process? I feel notably your counselors could probably help you a lot. I know a lot of upperclassmen at my school, they ask their counselors for help with what schools to apply to, tips on how to do everything, and just your counselor's your number one best friend when it comes to college applications. But teachers in general, you're obviously going to have to ask teachers for recommendations, and this is where building a connection with your teachers is very important. Even if it's starting in 9th and 10th grade, you think, I might not be able to ask them. That's not true. And if you build a close enough relationship where even when you're in senior year, you're still good, you still talk with all of these teachers, they're definitely going to be able to write you a good rec because they understand who you are as a person. And on that note, don't just ask teachers that are oh, they teach this class and got a good grade in it. Make sure you ask teachers that actually know who you are as a person so they can write about that during your rec. How does social media influence your own stress or mindset? Um, I mean, yeah, it like worsened my stress when, so I like recently applied to this boarding school in my state, and I kept seeing like TikToks about it, and it was just like really stressful. And my friends would see it too, and so I just like decided to stay off of TikTok for the that week where application season was just crazy, and went back afterwards. And honestly, I feel like that helped me not only strengthen my own application because I wasn't always comparing myself or feeling stressed out about not working fast enough. And yeah, that's why I really recommend taking breaks or like just staying off of social media. Or if you're like, if it's only one form of social media that like if it's only TikTok, you can always go to Reels and just like use that as a mental health break too. Because even though scrolling is like bad, it's still like a way to calm down after a stressful day. And yeah, you talk about not doing things just for how can students feel the difference between genuine interest and pressure to stack their resume? Um, well, I feel like the thing is in high school, there's going to be students who don't know what they want to be when they grow up. And I was like that too until I like found HOSA and realized that I want to go into healthcare. But the thing is, genuine interest, you can work on it and not feel tired. It's something where you'll feel motivated to do it even if you have to work late into the night or wake up super early, and you just never feel fatigued doing it. That's how you know if it's something you're genuinely interested about. And if you're just doing it to have like a stacked resume or and you don't and you feel tired every time you do it, um that's it just means that you're not actually interested in it, and you need to keep trying out new things until you find your genuine passions. You talk about not doing things just for application. How can this? Oh, what do you do when you don't have any strong teacher relationships or recommendations? Um, for teacher relationships, um, I mean, yeah, there's going to be schools where the student body is huge, and there's going to be teachers who you don't know that well, or maybe you're just like an introverted person, and the teachers don't really like remember you that well. And when that happens, it's not a bad thing. Like, and that's where like communication is key. Like just showing up to class, showing that you care. That'll make a teacher know like, oh yeah, this student tries and they're a good student. And even if they don't know all the intricacies about your life, that's where having a brag sheet comes in. And that just basically a brag sheet is where you ask the teacher like to talk about certain things, and you include stuff like your resume, important moments you remember from the class, and it helps the teacher write your rec and just make it better overall because they'll have like a foundation of what to go off of. HOSA is Health Occupation Students of America Future Healthcare Professionals. It's this organization or club in it's an international one, and basically it's a competition club where you compete in healthcare events, and it goes from region to state to internationals if you're in the United States. And it's a really good event, not just to test your knowledge about healthcare concepts, but also to meet new people. And during the events, they'll also have like seminars that you can attend, and it's just like a really good experience overall. Can you walk us through your cold emailing process in a way that's realistic for busy students? Okay, so the thing is, I know I said like there's no copy pasting, but like you can still create your own template. Like I have a template that I use, and I leave a lot of stuff open like for the template. But the main thing is you just need to like search up like who you're interested in asking. Like if you want to do research at a university, go to the staff directory, scroll through the names, and like quickly browse through some research papers. And if you find any person that has like a research paper you're interested in, then read at least one. Like read one that you're actually interested in, and that way you can actually show like you actually did your research and you're not just cold emailing at a random. And when you're emailing, make sure it's specific. Like be like your research about this really intrigued me, and I really hope to work with you to further my own knowledge in this field or something. And like even when you're busy, you can split it over multiple days. That's what I did for one of mine, or for mine with Professor Fu. I like wrote my template and then I researched about him for one day and then I wrote it a second day. And when I say like read into it, like okay, you're a high schooler, so you're probably not going to understand everything, but at least read the intro and the conclusions. That way, if they make you do an interview, you'll understand some of the concepts to talk about it to show that you care. What's a small first step they can take without overloading themselves? I think the biggest thing for MedPrep was definitely to split it over multiple days. Like, the idea for it came to me in August when I saw a similar project being done, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to try that too. But the thing is, I didn't really rush making it perfect. I made like a beta version, and I'm still making iterations to this day. It's not like, oh, I finish it in a few weeks and publish it, and then I'm done with it forever. You need to constantly improve it to benefit the community. And that's another way to not overload it, because you'll be taking it in steps. You're not going to be rushing it or anything. And another thing is to start your projects early. If you know like what you want to do, then yeah, you should start it early and not be like, oh, I'm just a sophomore, there's nothing I can do to help the world. That's not true. Maybe you won't help the world, but at least you'll help a few people, and that still matters. Is it possible for you to share or show your outline for cold emailing? Yeah, wait, let me pull it up, and I'll just, like, describe it. So I start with, like, the normal stuff, like, dear whatever, and then I introduce myself, like, I'm a high schooler at my school, and then I recently came across your work on, and then this is where you talk about, like, the study that you read, to show that, and this is how, like, it's really important to have this at the start, so then they'll know, like, oh, they did their research since the start, and then they'll want to keep reading. And then throughout the whole email, just be like, you're interested. You need to show your interest so that they'll actually feel motivated and want to teach you. My next paragraph is like, as part of my education and personal growth, I'm seeking opportunities to engage with professionals. I greatly appreciate it if you could spare a few minutes for a brief call or chat. And then third is where you talk about, like, I understand your time is valuable, and even a short conversation would be incredibly beneficial for me. And that's, like, my outline. Like, you just format it like, oh, here's your research, this is why I'm interested, and thank you so much. And then you end it with, like, thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to the possibility of learning from you. And at the end, I like adding my full name, email, and phone number. I don't think that's, like, mandatory, but it just seems a little more professional, if you know what I mean. And that's, like, my outline for cold emailing. And as I stated before, like, don't use ChatGPT, like, ChatGPT or any AI, like, when you try to research about a person, it'll be, like, wrong. And it's really important to read the research papers, like, yourself and actually dig deep so that they'll know that you actually care and want to teach you. Is there an app for cold emailing? I just use Google, a lot. And look, yeah, it, like, takes multiple hours. Or for Professor Fu, it took me like 1.5 hours, because after he was like, yeah, that's interesting, meet me up. Then if you get called to do an interview, you have to do more research. And honestly, for the interview, I personally think as a high schooler, it's better to go without notes. like, yeah, you could have notes about all their research papers and stuff, but they're gonna know that you're a high schooler and you probably don't understand everything. So the biggest thing for interview is to make sure you understand that one research paper you looked at during the emailing process, and to just make sure that you show your genuine passion about research. And another thing is make it personal. Like personal in like why you want to ask this person specifically. There needs to be something about this person that makes you want to ask them. Like for Professor Fu, it was because I saw that he had experience um, going to Chinese universities, and that's something I'm interested in right now. And I mentioned that in my email. So having a way to personally link yourself to whoever you're emailing is another really strong tool, as it shows that you actually like, it shows why you want to do it with them specifically instead of any other like professor or doctor or something. Any other questions? What did you specifically talk about on the interview, and how did you specifically ask for independent research? Um, when I was at my interview, he asked me about like what school I went to, obviously, which is really funny because I said it in my email. But I mean, these professors are busy people. Like they have their own families. They have like a bunch of stuff to do for their classes, and they're busy, so it's understandable. But he asked me like why I asked him, how I found out about him, um, what skills I have, and honestly, like, don't lie about what skills you have. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, I took chemistry and biology already, so I have like some understanding of these concepts. Um, but he gave me like tips. Like, he was like, oh yeah, like if you were good at chemistry back then, it probably would have been all that you needed for research. But these days, you need like an understanding of programming languages, which was actually surprising for me to learn because I didn't realize programming was so embedded into research these days. But apparently, modeling and um, using like R and JavaScript is really important in research these days. And he was honestly really constructive and just like really good at giving advice. The interview wasn't really scary, and he even ended up giving me like a science magazine and a water bottle when the interview ended. But it also honestly depends on who you're interviewing with. I guess our interview was more like um calm and relaxed, in part because of the weather, because it was raining really bad that day. And then when I came in, I was like soaked. So it was like definitely like an icebreaker to talk about. Uh, but yeah, like the interview can definitely vary, but since you're a high schooler, they're probably not going to make it super formal or anything. What is this boarding school you applied to, and what was the process like for the applicants? Um, okay, so I live in North Carolina, and the boarding school is called NCSSM, or like the North Carolina School of Science and Math. Um, it's in for the application process, I had to write two essays and then an optional essay that had 2,000 character limits. The essay questions were like, the first one was like, what's a STEM topic you're interested about, or um, if you had a $100,000 research grant, what would you research? And the second one was like, why the school? And when during these applications, you definitely, for why the school especially, you need to like go onto the website and look at like the course catalog, the club registry, the mission of the school, I included like the motto of the school into my YS essay, and I honestly feel like that was a really good way to use it, to embed it like that, and to just make it part of my whole narrative. Um, and other than the essays I had to write about like my leadership, my extracurriculars, fill out like a residency form because it's only for in-state people. There was a lot, and you also have to ask your school counselor, a STEM teacher, an English teacher, um, and also your counselor for Rex. And it's not a rec, it's more of an evaluation. I asked my English teacher, she said it was more of like what you're like in the class. But another thing about asking for recs or evaluations is to ask their teacher for their preference. One of my English teacher said to send her like my 2 top clubs. My bio teacher said to send him just my whole resume, and then my counselor was like, "Oh yeah, I know you well enough. I don't need anything." So, depending on like the preferences of the teachers, you can also like ask for their preference if they need anything, and yeah. But that was the process. It started in like November, and I finished literally like the day before it was due in January. So it was really stressful, but like that's where staying off of social media for a bit can help when it gets really intense. And are you currently learning R programming or JavaScript? um, I haven't started learning yet because, as I said, I'm at an early college, so I'm taking like 5 or 6 APs, and I haven't had time. And there's a bunch of competitions I do, like Science Olympiad, so I genuinely have not had time to like learn on it. But for resources, I found this book. It was like called Learning R for Research or something. Honestly, if you go on Reddit and search up like ways to learn R for research, they're probably gonna have a lot of good resources for that. Um, I have the book downloaded as a PDF. I just haven't started reading it. But like, yeah, go to like Reddit is genuinely a really powerful tool for sharing information. But like going back to rumors, like sometimes the information isn't true. But like if you need help on anything academic, if you go on Reddit and search it, there's probably like a subreddit where you can get help from other people. And yeah. Any other questions? Okay. I if that's all the questions, I think we're going to end it here. Um, oh wait, did another question pop up? Oh, okay. Um, okay, and yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you guys have any other questions, you can contact me at my email. Um, and yeah, and you can also check out some of my projects that I mentioned. These are the Instagrams for them. Um, thank you guys so much for listening today, and I wish you luck on all of your endeavors. Remember to take health breaks, play Roblox, go outside if it snows. Read books for your own interests. Don't just read books for classes and stuff. Read books you're actually interested about. And yeah, thank you all for being here today. And it was really nice being able to just talk about this with all of you. And yeah, have a good day, everybody.